Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about sensorimotor OCD and just I would say like five major things or about OCD with sensorimotors being the theme. If you can make sure you like and subscribe down at the bottom and just leave any comments about anything you'd like me to go over in the future. Um, five things, I guess five biggest things. The first one I would say is going to be really understanding compulsions, uh, mental compulsions, mostly like rumination. But the biggest one is probably the internal thermometer, constantly rating how you feel, and a lot of times when that's happening, it's very uncomfortable, right? And it's like it's almost like you can't stop it, and you try to stop it, you're really doing the opposite of what you should be doing. Um, with that, the best thing to do with the internal thermometer is really just letting it do its thing and letting it play out. Also, understand that when that's happening, it's just pointing you to the fact that the core fear needs to be worked on. That's why it's happening, because fear exists, right? That's why the mental compulsion is happening. So it used to be a scary thing, right? Like a big, like when it was happening, I'm like, holy crap, why won't this stop? Why can't I stop rating how I feel all the time, and once I understood that it was actually a positive thing for me, where I could see there was something that I needed to work on there, right? And I think that's a pretty cool thing. So understanding the mental compulsion part, it's pointing you in the right direction. And then the other thing, and it really reassurance, reassurance. This is something that I still have an issue with every once in a while. Um, Zero reassurance anywhere, everywhere. It You do not need reassurance. Okay, you want to talk to someone when you need help, um, like your OCD, specialist. That's fine. But other than that, like when you're really struggling, it's not going to help to constantly reach out to get advice to see if you're going to be okay or try to find help. It's just this. It's a never-ending cycle, and until you're ready to just give it up, once you really start giving it up and be willing to be uncomfortable and be stuck, that's when you'll start having a change, right? A big change. The next one I would say would be the exposure, and I think a lot of people don't understand the exposure with like breathing or saliva, blinking, your heartbeat. Um, a lot of people try to tell you you need to concentrate on it or think about it or set aside time, but for sensorimotor OCD, it's constantly there. Okay, so you just bring it for the ride, right? You don't need to set aside time because it's always existing. And a lot of people, I would say, overemphasize the exposure, and it's there, right? And you need to be willing to be uncomfortable, okay? But it's a lot of people really overemphasize the exposure. With sensorimotor OCD, the next thing I would say is it's really your core fear. That's really what needs to be worked on. And normally the core fear is fear of fear, that you're going to be stuck, right? That you're going to be stuck forever, and that whatever is happening is going to take over your whole life. You're never going to be able to think about anything, and it's going to ruin your entire life in every aspect, right? So what you have to do is you have to look at each one of those fears individually and find out where they're stemming, like where they come from, right? Where your fear starts. And the ruminating is going to point you in a correct direction there, like the intrusive thoughts, the things that you're afraid of that are coming up, that are frightening you, that are freaking you out, right? Those are the things that you need to work on, and you need to use, you need to be, more rational and break those things down regularly, and work on it non-compulsively. You need to set aside time. What I like to do is, when I have something that'll come up and I know I'm like, hey, I can see that I'm having maybe a little mental compulsion go on, or maybe I'm a little uncomfortable, having some anxiety here or there, for the same thing, and it's repetitive and it's coming along regularly. I'll set aside time, 10-15 minutes in the morning, for a period of time to work on it. So really thinking about the core fear is a big one, big one. And then the underestimation of time. It's just it's going to take a year or two, maybe 3, maybe 4. Um, you can't worry about that so much. It's just going to take time, and that's okay. And I think, we live in an instant gratification world where everything needs to be now, and I think that's, it's not a good way to look at it, right? You need to be willing to be uncomfortable for a period of time, and it's okay. It's good. It's good to be uncomfortable. That's how you grow. That's struggle is how you grow, right? So now those are the 5 biggest things for me that I would say for sensory motor OCD that made a biggest difference. So thank you. Have a great day.